Hello everyone and welcome to today's mystery lesson. So today is Friday, it's the end of the week, and unfortunately that lovely gorgeous sunshine we're having has ended, as it usually does in true British fashion. So today's mystery lesson is an art lesson. I'm going to break this down into different stages. The first part, I'm going to talk about what we're going to be doing, and then I'm going to talk about what you're going to need, and then I'm going to talk about how to do it and the different steps. Okay, awesome. So what we're doing today is kind of like paper printing, but it's a little bit different. It creates a beautiful effect on paper, and it's kind of magical. My mum taught me how to do this, and it was something that she had learned on a craft course, and me and her did it together, and we were a little bit amazed at some of the effects that we got. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So things you're going to need. Today you're going to need paper. This is just normal A4 print paper. It's nothing fancy. I literally just pulled it out of my printer. On top of that, alongside that, you could use plain white fabric. If you have any scrap fabric, it works really well on fabric. I will show you an example. So, I don't know whether you can see that. This is the kind of effect you can expect to have. This is a piece of just old cotton sheet that my mum had, and that was how we did it. So, I mean, you could do it that way, but I thought this is a fun, fairly easy activity. I mean, you don't have to do it on a Friday. If you haven't got some of these things, you could do it over the weekend. It's fun, it's relaxing, and it's definitely something that parents and carers would enjoy doing as well. And as I say, it's pretty magical. So other things you're going to need besides paper or fabric, you're going to need a spatula. It can be any kind of spatula. Ours is a very old spatula, and one we don't mind if it gets a little bit grubby, especially because we're going to be using acrylic paints. Now, my mum just has some cheap, well, some of them are more expensive, but you can get some just cheap. It works with any kind of acrylic paint. And then you're going to need a tray of some kind. So we've just got a plain foil tray, but if you've got like an old baking tray, that will work. It's good to have these sides on it, and it should be big enough to have like an A4 piece of paper in it. And then you could use the end of a paintbrush. I've just got a bit of stick. We're very... it is literally just a piece of stick. Or... I don't know what you call this. It's like something they use in a doctor's office. And you could just use the end of a paintbrush. And then the one thing that you are going to need, that you might need to get from a shop, is shaving. It has no perfume in it, so nothing that's like got a particular scent, just plain standard shaving foam. We did use this palm olive for men one with aloe vera last time, and it is scented and it did still work, but apparently it does work even better if you have one that has got no perfume in. So that's all you're going to need. I would, oh boy, with long hair like me, tie your hair up because you don't want it dangling in and getting paint in. And also wear an apron if you're particularly worried about getting paint on clothes, because acrylic paint doesn't always come out very well, as I have recently discovered. So the first thing you're going to need to do, and I would definitely say that this is an activity that requires adult supervision, and definitely being close to a sink, because you are going to need to wash your hands. So I'm going to use my Asda Price shaving foam. The first thing you're going to do, this is your first step, you're going to get your tray, and with your shaving foam, you're going to put a very, well, not a very, but a thin layer of shaving foam on the bottom of your tray. So I'll show you. And this is why you don't want like an expensive shaving foam to do this, because you don't want to waste perfectly good shaving foam. Nice activity. Right, so I've just smoothed out my shaving foam to form a thin layer. Now this is quite a quick activity. It doesn't take very long to do, but you can create lots of different effects whilst you're doing it. So I've got my thin layer of shaving foam now in there. Ooh. And then what I'm going to do, and this is a bit that you might want to supervise your children, or children might want to have adult supervision for, because we're just going to free pour paint on top of this shaving foam. And in my experience, children use a lot of paint very quickly. So I'm going to start off with a blue. So just going to get my paint. You could get a big blob, put it on a palette and have a big blob of paint put on it, which makes it a bit more controlled. But I'm just going to free pour my paint. But this is something they might need help with. So I'm just going to show you, little blobs of paint. Just little blobs of them. Like that. So I've got little blobs of paint, and then I'm going to choose another colour. I'm going to do this red colour. So I'm going to add little blobs of paint. You can put them close together. It doesn't matter, because these colours aren't going to be massively mixed together. But this is really good as well for like fine motor skills, because they've got to think about what shapes they're going to create, and especially if they're using like the end of a paintbrush or like a little stick, it requires that pencil grip hold and to not be pressing too hard into it. Okay, I'm going to add one more colour to it. I've added a little bit of gold this time. Put some up here. Okay, so now it just looks like this. Looks like blobs of paint on shaving foam. Right, this is where your stick and your paintbrush, weird spatula type thingy, that's the technical term, you're going to need to get it, and you're going to need to make swirls or different shapes. You can do different shapes. So I'll show you. So and you're not going to want to press too hard, and you're not going to want to mix the colours up too much. I'm doing little swirls for mine. Got quite a bit of blue in this middle bit. Oh, I've not got a lot of colour here. Right, I can see here I've got quite a bit of white. So I'm going to just add a little bit more colour here, because what you don't want is big white patches. And because I've got a big section of blue here as well, I'm going to add a little bit of red. So there's a little bit of difference of colour. Yeah, and you're not going to want to mix much, because the more you mix it, the more it'll disappear into the shaving foam, and the next bit won't work quite as well. So Now that I've mixed, I'll hold it up close to the camera so you can kind of see the effect. And this is why it's really good for fine motor skills, is because they can't mix the colours up too much. There should still be like bits of the gold I've used, bits of the blue, bits of the red. There shouldn't be like a muddy colour in the middle. And then you're going to get your sheet of paper and you're going to lay it down on top of the shaving foam and colour, and you're going to press really gently. Again, really good for those fine motor skills, because they've got to press really gently, and they've got to make sure they press all of it right down. And you can leave it for a few minutes. You should start to see the pattern forming on the piece of paper through it. And you just keep patting, making sure it's picking up all that paint. And then you're going to gently, mine hasn't picked it up, so I'm just going to lay it back down. There are certain bits it hasn't picked up. You might need to press more firmly. Then you're going to pull it up like that, and it's going to look really messy, but bear with me. So then you're going to get your spatula and scrape off that layer of shaving foam. And I just scrape it straight back into the tray, and I'll tell you why in a second that I don't like. Now, I didn't leave it on, I think, for quite long enough, but it has worked. So what you'll get is a pattern printed onto the paper or onto your fabric, depends what you've decided to use. And you can then, and the reason why I put the shaving foam I just used back into the tray, I'll leave this there to dry, is because I'm just going to smush it around, which sounds insane to just mix the paint that you've just put onto the paper. But this is why it's great, because you're not wasting that paint. That paint hasn't just been used for that one pattern, and then you've got to scrape out the shaving foam and then start again, and you feel like you're wasting lots of paint, lots of shaving foam. You can reuse the colour that you've just scraped off back into the tray, and this time what will happen, because my predominant colour was blue, is the pattern will be on a blue background. And the last time me and my mum did this, we actually got lovely, like, even though it looked kind of brown in the tray, it came out pink on the paper. So I'm just going to do it one more time to show you that process. I have a little bit of red this time. And this time I'm going to have this like sort of orangey colour, orangey / brown colour. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be anything amazing. You know, you decide how much colour you want. Then you're going to get your little, and you're going to draw some lines in it this time. I'm going to do some lines. And I'm not really following one direction, I'm just going whichever way I fancy. Okay, just like before, I'm happy now with my pattern. And I get my piece of paper. This time I'm going to leave it on for a little bit longer because it didn't quite come off as well as I wanted it to. So I'm going to pat it down. And it is kind of magic because you get that reveal at the end. At first it just looks like a mess with all the shaving foam on the paper. And you think, oh, it's not going to come out very nicely. And then when you scrape off that foam, you get that magic reveal. And I think this will be really fun to do with kids because they get that. They can scrape off with a spatula and they can draw the pattern in the paint and they can add whatever colours they want. And then you could use it for like creating pictures and things on. Or they could use it for different kind of art projects and things. And it's really good for those fine motor skills. As I said before, it is something that kind of gets them using. And it was really fun. And I thought, I can think of some year ones and year twos who would think this is really fun too. And they can use their pinks or their blues or their greens or their purples. Just making sure that I've really pressed it down this time. And I've laid it down. I'm going to give it a minute before I scrape it off. I think that was something that I didn't do. Just scrape off my spatula. And it looks quite cool now that I've pulled off the sheet. I get my spatula. Much better. Much better this time. And as you can see, okay, made a bit of a mistake at the top, but that's fine. The mistakes make art more unique. That's how I think of it. Any mistakes you get, they can still look really wonderful. That's something my mum taught me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I know some year ones and twos who are like that too. And they like things to look absolutely perfect, but your mistakes stop your art from looking like everybody else's. So don't worry if you think, oh, I dropped some of the shaving foam back onto the picture and it's blurred the pattern a little bit at the top, but it still looks cool. And I'm looking at it now and you really can't tell that I've done it. So it's okay. So, like I said, that blue, that was my predominant colour from last time, has now formed that blue background for my pattern. And there you can see my little mistake at the top, but there you go. So, you can do this lots of different ways. You can do it as many times as you want. Me and my mum did it lots and lots of different times. You can even print it to make cards, which we also did. We did it on like card and made card patterns. And again, you can just smooth that out. Add some different colours on top. This time it's come out like a red colour. So you can think about what colours might go with red. And it's just really, really fun. I had lots of fun doing this. And I think you'll have lots of fun doing it at home. I think I've even got some on my glasses. I, in fact, have got some on my glasses. So, this is definitely this is definitely an activity that would require an adult. But I think adults and the children will have just as much fun doing this and making different patterns. I certainly did. And as I said, it's really great. Those fine motor skills and those art skills and some and that little bit of resilience, that understanding that everybody makes mistakes. And I always say everybody makes mistakes, including teachers. And when we make those mistakes, it's okay, because it just means, A, that we're learning, so we're getting better every time we make a mistake. So we see the mistake and we go, I won't do that next time. I will try something else next time. And B, that when we make a mistake, sometimes, like in art, it just makes your work more unique and more interesting. So I hope you really enjoyed this Mystery Friday video. It's 20 minutes again. I think it's mostly because I love to chat. So I hope this is really helpful. And I really hope you guys are keeping well and staying safe. And I hope that you find this video really relaxing and really fun. Bye!